Are you struggling to keep up with boxing? Download the Boxing Showtimes app for the latest fight schedules, full undercards, boxer stats, news, and real-time updates. It's more than just an app, it's the boxing community you want to join.
Boxing King Media powered by BYD. It's Mr. Gareth A. Davies. Uh, it's not New Year's Eve, is it? It's tomorrow New Year's Eve. Is it New Year's? No, it's not.
Eve of New Year's Eve.
The eve of New Year's Eve. Yeah. So yeah, Gareth, it's been a while. I think I last saw you half gate crashing my interview with Alex Krasik in Riyadh, as was $100 short. How you been? You've had a bit of time to recover from that week?
Yeah, I'm good. I've just seen the family, had a lovely time, thank you. No, I had a little side bet with Alex Krasiuk. Well, he brought up a little bet when I'd interviewed him earlier in the week, on Monday in Riyadh, and he'd said, "Let's have 100 wager. Let's have a drink wager." I said, "Well, I've got $100 in my wallet here. If your guy wins, you get $100. If Tyson Fury wins, I pick Tyson Fury to win. I get 100 off you." But so I just saw him as I was leaving and thought, I'm going to give him the $100 now, and I obviously interview bombed you, so apologies for that.
No, no. To be fair, I think that probably interview did more views because you gate crashed it. Would you not agree?
I don't know. I haven't watched it back. I got home, finished off my work, saw the family, and I've kind of emerged today out of Christmas, really, and going back into it tomorrow for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
Just a quick question: what does Christmas look like on at Gareth Davis's house?
I see all my children. I see my two little grandchildren. Then I go abroad and spend a couple of days with my parents. Lots of lots of eating, lots of sweet things, loads of lovely meals, meals out, just catching up with everyone really, and just slowing down and trying to do very little work for about 5 or 6 days. And that is what I've been doing, very little work. I've got this interview with you. I've done a couple of others. I've got my show for TalkSport tomorrow morning, recording for an hour, and I've got to write a piece for the Telegraph looking at the new year and what it looks like in the boxing world. And there's a few recordings for William Hill, but Christmas itself, I enjoy more and more every year, and just enjoy the family really, and don't do too much. And I needed the break after Riyadh. It was exhausting, and a lot of people came back with bad throats and were tired. And I think there was a lot of dust in the air from the wind, and a lot of people seem to have lost their voices. How are you when you got back?
Just dry lips. I think that's been a common consensus with everyone. Dry lips, mate.
I had dry lips as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So, normally at the start, I'm always asking you questions from the fans. I'm going to ask you one that almost kind of, obviously, we've done quite a lot this year, and as it's a year end one, I've got a big, deep one for you.
Go on.
Obviously, we've seen in the comments, you do get a lot of shit in the comments. I mean, I probably see more negative comments about you than I'm trying to think who else is out there when it comes to negative comments about someone in content. Can't think of anyone else in the boxing world right now, but
Oh, that's lovely. What a moniker. What a sobriquet to have.
yeah, but this is the wildest thing. Obviously the common consensus is like, who does he think he is? He's not never been in a boxing ring and he's eccentric, etc., etc. But I was watching Carl Froch, he obviously he fell out with quite a few people in recent weeks, and then he did interviewed all them people at the same time. But your particular interview with Carl Froch did 309,000 views, which is a ridiculous number in the boxing game. You normally get them kind of numbers when if something big's happened. And then if you look at, he did one with Amir Khan, he did quite a few, he did Chisora, but your one did the most views. Why is it? Why is it
I
that
don't
people
know
keep
that.
tuning in to
I
watch you,
haven't got a
Gareth?
clue.
What
I
is it
haven't got
about you, Gareth? What do you think it is?
not a clue. Probably because I've been doing it a long time, and people hate it that I know what I'm talking about, because I do, even though they don't think I do, because I do know what I'm talking about. I'm not always right, um, but I know how boxing works, and I've been around it a long time. I enjoy talking about it. Maybe that it does a lot of numbers because people don't agree with the things I say, but it's fine. But we're in a sport of opinions. I think with the Carl Froch one, he put me in his super clown poll for the Jake Paul Mike Tyson event. So he'd hammered me over that. There were a couple of backhanded compliments as well, but Carl and I have known each other a really long time. And the truth is, when we get together, we actually have an amazing time together. And you know, I didn't back down against him because he does troll. Um, he was trolling. He has been trolling, and we had a really good chat when we caught up. And I was saying to him, right, I'm going to push you into a fight with Jake Paul. I'm going to try and help the fight happen. You're going to have to tie one hand behind your back. We had a lot of fun with it. Why do I think it? I don't know. Not a clue, mate. Not a clue. But I do enjoy doing these interviews.
There's got to be a compliment in there somewhere. There's got to be because, like I said, you get some serious hammer, but
Yeah, only online. I don't really get it when I meet people. I don't really because I'd give as good as I got.
mm,
You know that.
yeah,
But
you got
people
to have
entitled to their opinion, and it's fine. It's not a problem, and we have a lot of fun doing these things. It's a new genre. It's only been around 10 years. It is like the news in boxing now. It's like how news happens. Um, but to be honest, I did look at some of the comments when Carl interviewed me, and he got hammered for bullying me. And he didn't do anything of the sort, by the way. He didn't bully me at all. I wasn't going to fight him on the sand. No way. That man is too strong for me. And he's a four-time world champion. He knocked George Groves out in front of 80,000 at Wembley. Um, and you know, I think it was similar with. I mean, I got a bit of flack for the chat with John Fisher the other night on the rival channel, and but we didn't have a debate. That was the problem. He just jumped on to denigrate me like an internet troll, you know. And you know, I stand by what I said. I thought the judging was terrible in that fight. I thought Dave Allen won. So as I've said
yeah,
to a couple of people,
we'll,
I
we'll jump on.
apologize
We'll
for
jump onto that,
absolutely
Gareth.
not. Hmm?
We'll jump onto that because that's one of the first things I want to quickly fly through. Obviously, Johnny, Big John was quite passionate about what he said to you,
He
but you know,
was.
and I think for him, I think his argument was that you used the word robbery,
No,
and
I didn't use the word robbery.
what was his?
I didn't use the word robbery, so that's why I apologise for nothing because all I said was I thought the judging was a disgrace. I watched back what I said. I just
Yeah,
did not agree with the judging at all. I didn't call it a robbery. I didn't call it diabolical. That was the headline on the Talk Sport clip. But I said I thought the judging was a disgrace, and I still maintain that. But I'm not. Listen, but we also saw great things from Johnny Fisher. I have said nothing to denigrate Johnny Fisher
mm.
nor Dave Allen. They came out as two great warriors from that fight. Um, and that's where John's got it wrong, I'm afraid.
So you know, if I be devil's advocate, did you score it 6-4 to Dave Allen?
I need to find my scorecard somewhere. It's in my notes. I haven't got them in front of me right now, but I did score it definitely Dave Allen win.
Yeah, no, because I was going to
By
say,
one,
like,
not two.
if there's one round in it, can we kind of classify it as being disgraceful if there's one
Yeah,
round?
well, it was clear for Dave Allen in my view.
Hmm. Okay.
Just as I had Alexander Usyk winning by one round against Tyson Fury, and I scored the first round a draw, and 6-5 to Usyk. If I'd scored that first round, I scored the first round 10-10. If I'd scored it to Fury, I'd have had a draw. You know, there were
Okay.
swing rounds. I don't think there were. What I was watching was the systematic after round five, the systematic winning of the rounds by Dave Allen. There might have been one Johnny Fisher round in there, but Dave Allen won that by a round or two.
Okay, no problem. Let's move on. You mentioned it there, the main event. So you will have watched it back. Have you scored it when you watched it back,
I
Gareth?
haven't watched it back, mate. I came back and I did Christmas. As I said, I was off for a week. I haven't watched it back. I don't need to.
Okay.
The result stands. I don't think it was as wide as the judges had it, but there were five swing rounds. They agreed on seven of the rounds, so five swung. and they thought Usyk did the better work. You
You
know,
know, Dom Ingle raised a point which I didn't spot myself, but he said all three judges 100, like there was like seven, was it six, there was five swing rounds, but all three judges agreed on the outcome of seven of the rounds.
that's what I just said. That's what I
Yeah.
just said. The judges agreed on 7 rounds. I always look at that. They agreed on 7 rounds, but there were 5 swing rounds they didn't agree on. So that gives you massive margins, Boxing King Media, in the
Mhm.
scoring of a fight. And Usyk did the cleverer bits of work, really, the eye-catching bits of work, stealing away from Fury, leaning on him, stealing away, going to the body more than he had in the first fight, giving as good as he got
Mhm.
to the body, and performing brilliantly. Yeah, Fury was improved, but so was Usyk.
There's been contrasting opinions, you know. I don't know if you know Nick Manners. I spoke to him a couple of days ago, and he suggested Fury's legs are gone, but I did counter argue that and said like Usyk told me that he gave him his two hardest fights, and if he's
Yeah.
losing by a round or two in both fights, can your legs really be gone to somebody who's
No,
classed
no,
as great?
I thought his conditioning for a 20 stone man was brilliant. And
Mhm.
I've spoken at length to Christian Blacklock, um, his strength and conditioning coach, and Greg Marriott, his nutritionist, said he was nutritionist, and Spencer Brown, and you probably spoke to some of these people as well, and they
Yeah.
said he was in great condition. He'd had a fantastic camp, and he showed that in the fight. Usyk was just a bit smarter here. There, there were times when Fury, the giant, was trying to swat this smaller guy, and he was in and out and landing just before he went out in those clinches in the last third of the fight, and that's where he is so clever. Look, it was a close fight. It was definitely a close fight, and very physical, very draining, and intriguing contest. It wasn't a thrill-a-minute fight, but it was so intriguing. A grueling fight for both men. They've been through 24 grueling rounds together now. The
Yeah.
big thing for me is there's an obvious fight for Fury next, but there isn't an obvious fight for Usyk. The obvious fight for Fury is to fight Anthony Joshua, but for Usyk, does he fight Dubois again if he beats Parker? Does he fight Parker if Parker defeats Dubois on February the 22nd and win back the undisputed title again? That seems the obvious route, because outside that, what else is there for him?
Um, yeah, because no one's obviously Martin McCauley's name's up there. There's a lot of heavyweights, but does he give him a chance? Do you think he picks one out and says, right, I'm going to defend it against you? Who's going to pay for that? Because he's going to demand big money.
Yeah, well, I don't think the money that was on offer for a Fury Usyk rematch and Fury Usyk the first time, or Usyk Fury the second time, Fury Usyk the first time. Um, I don't think it's there for the other guys. It's not gonna. It's not as big a fight. I wonder how long Alexander Usyk is still going to hang around in the sport. He's 30. Is he 38 next month?
Yeah,
I
but,
think.
I can tell you that I spoke to him off camera quite a bit about this, and he 100% isn't hanging him up. He's carrying on. He's in love with the sport, and I think
Yeah.
we're probably going to get, depending on the outcome of the fights, at least another two, three fights out of him.
Well, if he does, that's brilliant. But I don't think he's got an awful lot to prove right now. He sits in a pantheon of all-time greats in my view. I did it a 1 to 10 for the Telegraph just after the event, and I put him at 7 behind Mike Tyson, but ahead of Evander Holyfield. And I think I had, bear with me, Rocky Marciano at 9 and Vitaly Klitschko at 10. I didn't put Vladimir in there, but mentioned him, but put Vitaly at 10. Lewis at Lennox Lewis at 1.
I've seen this list, Gareth. It's one of my questions that I've got, and I think I'll just.
Muhammad Ali at 2. Um, is it 3? Joe Lewis at 3. George Foreman 4. Larry Holmes 5. Mike Tyson 6. Alexander Usyk 7. It's just a list I put together of
Yeah,
great heavyweights.
there was a huge meltdown about you having Mike Tyson ahead of him. Are you basing that on skills or achievements in boxing?
No, I think that late 80s Mike Tyson would have given Alexander Usyk problems.
So you're basing it on who you think beats who? Is that top 10
Yeah,
list? So it's not an
yeah,
achievement.
pretty much. Look, they're all mythical lists, aren't they? We don't know.
No, because
Um,
I had this conversation with damn, who was it now? Roy Jones Jr., funnily enough, we was talking about all-time lists, and he said, when you're talking, you've got to be specific. Are you talking about skill set, whether they beat that person, or are you talking about achievements alone? And I thought it was quite
I
a
think
valid point.
achievements a factor into it
Yeah. Because
because
if it's
that's what.
achievements, surely Mike Tyson's not achieved more than Alexander Usyk. He probably he's outdone most people in that top 10 list of yours.
What Alexander Usyk?
Yeah.
No,
2 times undisputed Olympic gold.
no. I think you would have beaten Holyfield. Well, it's mythical in its in
Mm.
its in its sense. Yeah, listen, it deserves it to go into it. It needs a whole. We need to speak about the whole thing for half an
Yeah.
hour and
Yeah, we're
go
definitely
through
going to
it
do
all
that.
rather than a snap judgment because there's always it's just you're just opining. You're opining on where that person now sits, mainly because of his achievements. But you're also, for me, I'm also factoring in would he have been would he have beaten that guy? Would he have beaten Lennox Lewis? Would he have beaten Muhammad Ali? Would he have beaten Mike Tyson? Would he have beaten George Foreman? Would he have beaten Joe Lewis?
Yep.
Maybe he would have beaten Joe Lewis. I don't know, but they talk about Joe Lewis, and
I've,
and he's perceived as being one of the greatest ever. So
okay. I've
look
got
at
a,
his run. It was 20, I think 25 world championship victories. I didn't put Vladimir in because I, I thought he was undone by certain people that took him on,
yep.
that believed they could beat him, like Fury.
Okay, I've got one quick question for you. Gut instinct. Does a Fury fight AJ or does he walk away?
Gut instinct is there'll be so much money on the table for those two to do that fight that they'll do
Fascinating.
it. 80, 90%, I think it'll happen.
Who's the favorite?
Tyson Fury just.
Okay, and I've got to mention the because I'm going to do like a year-end awards thing with you in a second, but big show in Australia next week on the 8th of Jan. What is I feel like it's going a bit under the radar. What an event to kick off 2025 with like a
Is this Jaya Pattaya?
yeah against David Nika. What a fight.
It is a good fight. Nika's a really good salesman of his own abilities and he believes in himself. They've sparred quite a lot before, I think.
Yep.
I had dinner with Jaya Pattaya at the Ring magazine launch. Yeah, I think it will be really big and good. And I think, boxing deserves a bit of a break in a breakout in Australia as well, because they've got some names there, with Tim Tszyu and others
Yep.
like Jaya Pattaya, like Joseph Parker. I know he's an Antipodean or Samoan, but he could fight there and do numbers as well. Yeah, it is a great way to start the year.
It is, and yeah, Australia versus New Zealand, two guys of similar heritage, and looking forward to that. Should be an interesting fight. And just before I speak about the next thing, I'm just going to mention we're launching a new podcast, and episode 1 hopefully is going to drop after this interview, and it's called Boxing Kings. It's going to be available on Spotify. We finally managed to set up a Spotify account as well. I'll put the link up in the description to this video. But I'm going to play the trailer now.
Rarely in life do we celebrate a man whose life story is not just one of athletic excellence, but of extraordinary personal transformation, a story that proves the power of discipline, faith, and perseverance. That man is Bernard Hopkins, a living testament to the idea that it's not where you start in life, but where you finish. As a young man serving time at the Graterford prison in Pennsylvania, Bernard made a decision that would alter his destiny. He vowed never to return after his release. He turned to faith in boxing, discovering a discipline that would become his salvation. Boxing wasn't just a sport for Bernard, it was a route to redemption, a way to channel his energy and anger into something positive. His professional boxing career began in 1988 with a loss, a humbling reminder that success would not come easily. But Bernard Hopkins was not a man to give up. He refused to let failure define him. Over the course of his career, Bernard Hopkins became a boxing legend. Known to fans as the Executioner, he dominated the middleweight division, holding the title for a record-breaking 10 years. But his most remarkable achievement came later in his career when he became the oldest world champion in boxing history at the age of 49. Bernard Hopkins' story is about more than titles and accolades. It's about transformation. It's about a man who refused to let his past define his future, who showed the world that even the most broken beginnings can lead to triumphant endings. Bernard Hopkins reminds us that discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. He reminds us that faith can guide us through our darkest moments. And he reminds us that no matter how far we may have fallen, we always have the power to rise. Boxing King Media presents Episode 1 of our new series titled Boxing Kings, The Untold Story. Bernard Hopkins talks to us in detail about his childhood, which helped forge the man he is today.
Whether they athletic, popular to the world of what they do, but here and around the world, you go to Masjid, you go to Juma, you're a Muslim. It ain't you scored 50 points every game, you Hall of Famer, you this. That's respected. But this is the ultimate respect for the religion that we all are champions in our own right. We respect everything that a person do that's recognized in this world, but there's nothing bigger than the law. It's easy for us, and I'm gonna use the word easy, yes. It's for a Muslim person to understand that it's bigger than him and anything he's accomplished in his career. Nothing bigger than religion. That's hot from my perspective.
I'm your brother, they my brother, and it ain't no status, it ain't no, out of, like control of celebrity and all that. No, you're a Muslim, you're Mu'min, period.
Bernard not only practices his faith, he embodies its teachings in every aspect of his life. As Hopkins leaves the mosque, he greets a waiter from a nearby hotel with immense love and respect. This is a fundamental principle of his religion, which teaches inherent dignity of all human beings, regardless of their color, race, or financial status. Superiority is determined by piety and good character.
Hopefully they've just watched the trailer, Gareth. Bernard Hopkins is our first guest. I did probably one of the best interviews I've ever done with anyone. It was a 1-hour interview, literally talking about his childhood, time in prison, and just covering his first loss, nothing else.
When did you see Bernard?
It was in Riyadh a few months ago.
Oh, was at the
Latino fight card, yes.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you spoke to him because Bernard, you can ask him 2 questions and he'll speak for an hour.
That is very correct, but I made sure that didn't happen. So it's a very, very good. It's one of the best interviews I've done, and he spoke.
He's a very, very interesting man.
He's
Very,
got a fascinating life. From watching people
looking
get
forward to
murdered to being stabbed 3 times to some crazy stories.
Well, the thing is about Bernard, he was the penitentiaries champion. He learned to, he really learned to fight in prison. But the thing about him was he was mugging the muggers.
He was.
He will have told you all about that. It's a fact. I've spoken to him about it a few times in the past. Obviously, I was covering his career. But he wasn't fighting when you got started, so he'd given up by then, just at 52 or whatever it was. So no, I really look forward to seeing that. Well done getting that going. It'll be fascinating to go narrow and deep, in depth with certain characters in the sport. And Bernard is definitely one of those guys. I love fantastic character.
Yeah, I've got a really good lineup there. Episode 2, which I don't mind dropping it now, is Miguel Cotto, and he doesn't do many interviews, and he's seen some of my work and he agreed to do it. So that'll be episode 2 when it drops. But I'm gonna jump on to Gareth year-end awards. I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Obviously you can't pick yourself in this. Who do you think was a boxing journalist stroke pundit of the year? Who? Just fire out a quick name that sticks out in your mind. So you can't, no time to think.
I'll come back to that. I can't really think right now.
Oh, who's probably made the biggest contribution to the sport this year, do you think?
Turkey Al Sheikh.
That was an easy one. Boxing broadcaster of the year. Surely that's an easy one as
Talk
well.
sport. Talk sport.
Broadcaster. I mean, like the people that broadcast the fights. So you got Sky, The Zone, ITV, Channel
Talk
5.
sport. Talk sport. Oh, DAZN. But I would say Talk Sport because we do watch-alongs as well. I think Talk Sport's output has been fantastic this year.
It has. International promoter of the year.
Can I say Turkey Al Sheikh?
I don't know. Is he registered as a promoter? I don't know.
No, I don't think he is. International promoter of the year. So obviously outside the UK. God. Top rank.
Okay. British promoter of the year.
Frank Warren.
Okay. Emerging promoter of the year in the UK.
Emerging promoter of the year. Emerging promoter of the year. Well, if I say Ben Shalom, that's a bit insulting, isn't it, to him? But I'd say Ben Shalom's still emerging.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see what he has to say about that.
Well,
Coach.
he is still emerging. How long has he been doing it?
About 3. Don't forget, he did the boxer series like 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, I still think he's emerging. I still think he's emerging. It's not an
Okay.
insult. It's not an insult.
Coach of the year.
I'm going to say Shane McGuigan.
Okay. Female boxer of the year.
Clarissa Shields. I had to think about that, but I think it's Clarissa Shields.
Okay. Young male fighter of the year.
Young male fighter of the year.
Yeah.
God, I wish you'd told me this before so I could have a little think about
I
them.
know. I don't want to give you nominations because I wanted to put you on the spot and just tell me who comes to your mind first.
Young fighter of the year. I think Moses Atama.
Yep.
It was
Boxer.
20. It was 22 days ago.
Yep. Male boxer of the year.
Alexander Usyk.
Okay. Okay. Last one. No pressure, and I won't be offended. Boxing YouTube battle of the year. You can't talk sport are not included.
Definitely IFL TV.
Okay, no problem.
Or yourselves.
Yep.
Or yourselves. Well, it's a toss-up between you two.
Okay, see what the
And
fans.
you want the journo of the year.
Yep, you left that one out.
Keith Idek. Keith Idek.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's an American. I think he's very, very prolific, and I think he's done brilliantly this year without being able to travel much to Riyadh and beyond.
Okay, right, Gareth. I think that's it, mate. What's your plans for New Year? Are you getting wasted or going anywhere?
I'm not doing anything. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm just going for a chill drink tomorrow, and I'm going clubbing in London, day clubbing on New Year's Day.
Okay, let's see if the fans can think of some questions for the first one in next year.
Indeed.
What do you think Gareth A. Davies is going to be doing for New Year's Eve? And I'm pretty sure people will have some wild party
I'm just
suggestions.
going to have a tequila. They know already. They know.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a little tequila, a little mild tequila.
If you guys can describe Garrett's night in on New Year's Eve or night out, I'll read out the best ones.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good to me.
Gareth, thank you for your time, and
You're welcome. You're welcome, Boxing King Media. It's lovely to speak to you. I haven't spoken for a while. Great to speak to you.
yep, thank you for gate crashing Alex Krasik's interview with $100. That was very kind of you.